Hello all, and welcome to the next installment of Next Exit. Today, I bring you to some of the highest peaks in the state of Virginia at Grayson Highlands State Park in Grayson County. Now on this first trip, my wife and I decided to make a climb to the top of Mount Rogers, the highest mountain in the state. And this was back in about mid-July, so everything was still pretty green out. But I just thought I would take you along on the trail with me. So sit back and enjoy some of the most beautiful scenery the state of Virginia has to offer. Now, when hiking to the top of Mount Rogers from Grayson Highlands State Park, you're actually not in the state park for very long. Pretty much just after you link up with the Appalachian Trail, you leave the park and enter the Mount Rogers National Recreation Area, which is where the majority of this video will take place. Now, something that Grayson Highlands State Park and Mount Rogers National Recreation Area is famous for is its abundance of wild ponies and free-range cattle. Now, we'll see some of the cattle later on, but here are some of the ponies that are just outside the park boundary. And here we are entering the Lewis Fork Wilderness area of Jefferson National Forest. And this 500, I believe, is supposed to be the 500-mile marker of the Appalachian Trail if you're starting in Georgia. Now, what some people find disappointing at the summit of Mount Rogers is that there is no scenic overlook, but instead you're immersed in a dense spruce forest, which I personally love. I feel it gives the mountain a more mystique quality, almost like you're entering some enchanted forest that only those who are willing enough to set out on this hike are gifted to see. This is the actual 360 panoramic view from the summit of Mount Rogers here. So again, not much to see in any direction, but definitely a location to just sit and take in your surroundings. While not the highest elevation I've ever hiked at, the climb to the top of Mount Rogers at 5,729 feet was definitely the most ambitious hike I've ever set forth on to this day. While the signs are a bit misleading, the actual hike is near about 10.5 miles round trip, if leaving from Grayson Highlands State Park. Now, as you can surely tell, Grayson Highlands and the Mount Rogers area is definitely a bit out of place for the southern Appalachians, looking more like something you would see in the Pacific Northwest. And coincidentally enough, if you'll notice a lot of these rock formations in the area, many geologists do believe that Mount Rogers and a few of the surrounding mountains are ancient volcanoes, some of the oldest in the world. Now, as the sun was getting lower on our way back down from Mount Rogers, we began to see a lot more of the free range cattle. Now, to those who think cattle are some cute and innocent animal, I can tell you, as being someone who grew up around farms all my life, cattle can very quickly ruin your day, especially those with 2-foot horns atop their head. Now, I'm sure the majority of these are used to being around people at this point, but you can still hear my breathing getting a bit heavier as I'm having to make my way between them. And this is the first sight that you're greeted with upon re-entering Grayson Highlands State Park. Now, we had such a good time our first day at the park, we decided to return when the weather got a bit cooler, so the rest of this video was taken in about mid-October. As you can see, the leaves are definitely at peak in a lot of the areas of the park. And while our hiking for this day was not quite as ambitious as the last time here, we decided to keep all of our exploration within the boundaries of Grayson Highlands State Park this time, and probably for the best. As you can hear, the wind was no friend to us on this day, and it was already in the low 40s, so a pretty cool hike on these high, bald mountains. We did see a lot more ponies in the park this time around. I didn't see any cattle, though, but I think the majority of those are actually outside the park boundary. With sights as beautiful as these, it's no wonder that Grayson Highlands State Park has quickly become my favorite state park within the Commonwealth of Virginia. And at just shy of 5,000 feet, this is as high as we hiked on this cool and windy day. Now, this overlook you actually don't have to do any hiking to get to, as it sits just below the park's visitor center, an absolutely perfect spot for viewing the fall leaves. Now, if you're not quite up to hiking to the highest mountain in Virginia, you can still drive to the second highest point in the state. Much like most of the mountains in Grayson Highlands State Park, White Top Mountain, just a few miles down the road, is also a grassy bald, giving you incredible views in nearly every direction. Once again, it looks nothing like anything in the southern Appalachians, but almost looks like you're atop a desert mountain in the western part of the country. Just a word of advice, if you do take the drive to the top of White Top Mountain, be sure that you're in some higher vehicle like an SUV or truck, as the roads can be pretty rough in places. But that's all for this episode of Next Exit. I thank you all for coming along, and I'll see you all next time.